Hello, everyone. Welcome back for some more Let's Read Higurashi. So, things have been a bit crazy. Last time we got called a liar, which wasn't good. We also learned that over our very long phone call, Rena was outside our door listening the whole time. So that's not great. How are we gonna handle this? I don't want to go to school. Weariness and a headache. Not a very nice way to start the day.
どうしたの?
And our kitchen's kind of a mess, huh? It's very realistic in that way.
ケイチ、今朝は顔色悪いわよ。昨夜は何時に寝たの?
It seemed that my mom had noticed my sullen state. Yesterday, I kept on waking up in the middle of the night. Without a doubt, I felt a presence. I felt the presence of someone standing in front of my door. I told myself repeatedly that it was my imagination. Forced myself to try and sleep. Actually, real talk, when I first moved out and got an apartment, for the first time in my life, I was not in a house. And that feeling of you are just one door away from strangers. I had a hard time sleeping for a long time just because that layer of security is gone. And it actually freaked me out. And I just kept having, not dreams, not nightmares, but just I couldn't fall asleep because I just kept thinking of what if someone opens the door? Right? A little scary, but I got used to it eventually. In fact, some nights I've even forgot to fully shut it because I'm stupid. Except not being able to stand it, I gathered up my courage and opened the door. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I think I did this 3 times throughout the night. Or maybe I just didn't remember doing it any more than that. Even though I was able to get to the breakfast table without incident, I still didn't feel at ease.
風邪かもしれない。なんだか食欲ないんだ。
あら。
Yeah, you're cold. You should stay home.
ちょっと熱あるんじゃない?
Yeah.
どうする? 学校行ける?
Say no. Say no. Technically, I did go to a school, but it was mostly self-study. Oh, so then there's even more reason to not go to school. It wouldn't matter much if I missed a day, would it? It could have been that I hadn't been feeling well for the last few days because I really did have a cold. If I took some medicine and got a good day of rest, well, I might be able to greet everyone with a smile tomorrow. Oh. Who's that? Startled, I looked back and forth between the entrance and the clock. It was 10 minutes later than when I usually met up with Rena. It was Rena.
レナちゃん迎えに来ちゃったけど、どうする?
Oh boy.
お休みする?
Rena was a good girl. Was. She might be somewhat quirky, like those animatronics at night, but she was certainly cute. The lunches she made were delicious, and she always looked out for me. Why should I be scared of something like that? It wasn't Rena's fault. It's probably mine. It had to have been my cold. Just had to have been.
休む。ごめん。
じゃあ、母さんが断ってきてあげるわね。
That's good. Mom headed off to the door. I would have to pass by the entrance to get back to my room. I didn't have the nerve to meet with Rena, so I wrapped myself in a blanket on the sofa and closed my eyes. Oh, this is real. I was so sleep deprived, I quickly fell into a deep slumber. I had only intended to lie down for a bit, but it was almost noon when I woke up. I called out to my parents, but they didn't seem to be around. On the table, I found lunch, prepared, and a note. Mom and Dad had apparently driven off to somewhere far away. What? Oh, it likely had to do with Dad's work. This happened every so often, so it wasn't that unusual. If you say so, buddy. I'd be back for dinner, but might be a bit late. On the note it said, the insurance card is in the cabinet. Take it and go to the hospital. There was also a well-drawn map to the hospital. Oh my god. There was a time before GPS on cell phones. This what people had to do? Terrifying. That's right. I hadn't been there before, so I didn't know exactly where it was. I had a light lunch, although it was really just leftovers from the morning, and just in case went to the hospital. Normally I'd never be here in the middle of a weekday. Just walking around like this had me feeling guilty. It was an odd feeling. Following my mom's map, I took a road I usually never used. After walking for a bit, hospital's sign came into view. Irie? Erie? Let's go Erie. Erie Clinic was written rather stylishly on the sign. The clinic wasn't very big, but based on the scale of the rest of Hinamizawa, it was far too grand. There was a parking lot and even a reserved spot for buses. You know, when they bus in all those patients. They must be making a mint. I spaced out in the air-conditioned waiting room until it was my turn to be seen. God, it's bright. That's very bright.
前原さん、診察室へどうぞ。
It's funny though, because come to think of it, like my family usually goes to the small town hospitals because, you know, way less wait time anyways. So this does make sense. After half-heartedly answering all the chatty doctor's questions, he responded with the old, "It's probably a cold." They gave me a shot and 3 days worth of medicine. I'm sorry, I thought you're not supposed to give shots for colds. There was a big campaign in Canada, at least, which was called Not All Bugs Need Drugs. And they basically said, hey, do you have a cold? Don't take medicine for it. I mean, you can treat the symptoms, but don't take anything for the actual, like, sickness part of it because you don't want to build up immunity. And it's like, oh, well, that's interesting. I don't know what that means, but okay. Just a free shot. 3 days worth of medicine is nice, though. I was a little overboard, but well, if it would clear away the gloomy feeling I've been having lately, then it was worth it. Plus, then you have a bit of extra medicine, and if you're ever bad, you can take it, and then you get addicted to prescription painkillers. It's wonderful. I'm not speaking from experience. I can quit them anytime. I settled the bill. Oh. Probably like a couple of bucks, right? Because if it's insurance, I mean, this should be covered by insurance, I would hope. And took a quick trip to the washroom. As I was leaving, I overheard a conversation between some elderly people who seemed to be regulars at the clinic because they're old. Of course, I had no intention of eavesdropping. It's really tough to not. Like, I know you're not supposed to listen to people, but it's hard to not. If they're speaking out loud, like, what are you meant to do? Just ignore them? But as you can, especially if there's nothing else going on. If it just wasn't for that word. Uh-oh.
やっぱり鬼隠しかいね。
Wow.
どうかね。まだまだ若い子だけや。駆け落ちかもしられへん。どこの誰とよ。
Oh, these are the oldest old man voices.
季節のたびに東京門が来ちょったろ。でっけえカメラ持った若者が。
Wait a sec. Didn't they say she worked here? I think they did.
あれと仲
Yeah,
良かったって
right.
話。知られへんの？
Were they talking about Tomatake-san? I could feel my ears perking up.
そら知らんけど、でも普通駆け落ちっても仁義あるだろう。書き置きとか辞表とか書かんかいね。
すったらん書かんから駆け落ち言うんね。
わきゃ看護師さんの顔見られんようなるわ。
Okay, right, she was a nurse here, right.
高野さんはしっかり者よ。どこへ行ってもやっていけろん。
Well, I don't think she'll be an upstanding young woman where she's going right now. So her name was Takano-san. That woman with Tomatake-san. And she worked at this clinic? Oyashiro-sama's shadow was following me everywhere I went. I started listening more closely, but they began talking about fishing and it didn't seem like they were going to revisit the topic. I gave up and left. Thus, Even though I was separated from the daily monotony of school, I wasn't able to escape from Oyashiro-sama's shadow rather. But of course, Oyashiro-sama was the guardian deity of this place, of Hinamizawa. As long as I was in Hinamizawa, I wouldn't be able to escape. Like a Zangief with his bear hug command grab. You can jump it, but it's too late. You can backdash, but it's too late. He's gonna get you. Maybe it was because I was walking outside, but my appetite had suddenly returned. I might as well buy a snack with the change from the examination fee on the way home. Contemplating that, I turned onto a familiar street. Oh, it's this one. At that moment, I heard a car horn abruptly honk behind me. Was I really walking so far into the middle of the road where I'd be in a car's way? I moved farther to the side, but the horn was still honking at me. I turned around, peeved. Oh. So, okay. This is the detective guy, and his voice was very familiar, and I couldn't place where. And then someone said that this is the grandpa from Fate Samurai Remnant, the book. And, yes. Oh my god, you're right. It was Ooishi-san. He stepped out of his car, AC on full blast, and waved at me. Sup?
ちょっと体調悪かったんで、今日は休みました。お昼を買って帰ろうとしてたところです。
そりゃよかった。実は私、お昼に行こうとしてたんですよ。よかったらご一緒にいかがです？
I don't know about this one.
ああ、お体に触るようでしたら構いませんよ。
Yeah, I don't know. I was just gonna lie down after going home anyway. Oh my god, you're so stupid. And I didn't really have a cold.
地元の食堂だ
Well, at
と
least
嫌
he
でしょ。
knows.
町まで行きましょう。ちょっと走りますがよろしいですかな？私、おいしいお店知ってる
Okay,
んですよ。
did he just make a pun? Going to an Ooishi place? Like, because his name is Ooishi? Okay. I finally begun to understand Ooishi-san's roundabout way of saying things. He probably wanted to talk to me about stuff that'd be difficult to discuss while in Hinamizawa. And that's when we learn there's no more cities around. I went with Ooishi-san, riding in his frigid car. It was almost as if the bright sunlight outside was a lie. Oh, that's a word choice, buddy.
ゆうべは遅くまですみませんでしたね。
Yeah, the girl in the walls heard it.
ご家族に怒られませんでした。
No, but the girl in the walls did.
いえ、
I recalled Rena, who had been listening to the phone conversation all that time, separated from me by just the door. Even now, in the brightness of the sunlight, the thought still creeped me out. With a big bump that jolted the car, the road connecting to the city changed from dirt to pavement. My head swiveled back with a sudden realization. That's right. This was where Tomitake-san died.
富武さんの捜査は暗礁に乗り上げています。
Ooishi-san spoke while peering at me from the corner of his
自
eye.
分の爪で喉をかき破るという異常さから幻覚作用のある何らかの薬物によるものだと信じているのですが、
Bro ate some of those forbidden
こう
mushrooms.
いう症状、それも急
Yeah.
激に引き起こす薬物はもちろん検視解剖もそれを念頭に置いて十分に行ったのですが、手がかりはやはりありませんでした。
He must have had like 3 or 4 super weeds. Those are 10 times stronger than regular weed.
漫画なんかによくあるじゃないですか。
Panties? I don't know. What are you talking about?
体内に取り込まれると分解したりして、
Oh,
証拠が何も残らないなんて。
I think we
そんな
read
薬。
I think we read very different manga.
ありますよ。
Oh,
演歌作詞何でしたっけ？
Susinlikol? I don't think that's a real thing.
まあ、結構あります。
Oh.
でもですね、富武さんのような症状を引き起こす薬物にはそういうものはないそうなんですよ。
じゃあ警察は富武さんはたたりで死んだってそう言うんですか？
I couldn't help but feel the police were worthless. I just wanted the idea of a curse to be disassociated from Tomitake-san's mysterious death.
悔しいですが今のところは。ですが死因はともかく死ぬ前に何人かの人間に囲まれて暴行を受けたことだけは間違いありません。たたりでなく人間が事件に関わっているのは疑いようがありませんよ。
That made me a bit relieved. You know, except maybe the curse manifests itself in other humans, which could also be really bad. Like, there's a chance this curse is literally just they get possessed, you know? We passed in front of the rather desolate, but still busier than Hinamizawa train station with the Yamaha building. The car pulled into a restaurant parking lot, and I followed Ooishi-san into the shop. So what would we do if, like, another police officer saw them? And they'd be like, "Sir, what are you doing with this minor?" And he's like, "Well, I'm a police officer." You think that would pass muster? I don't think so, but okay. It was pretty crowded, but there were only adults at this hour. Of course, there wouldn't be children here in the middle of a weekday, which is, like, not the case, actually. At least nowadays. I feel like now you go to, like, a restaurant in the middle of the day, and there will be kids there, and you know they're, like, mostly playing hooky, or their parents have taken them out to play hooky.
2名です。タバコは、我慢します。
Oh my god. Remember when you had to request non-smoking? I remember that. And actually, that was one thing, like, my family, we wouldn't be able to go out to a lot of restaurants if they had a smoking section because I have a heart condition. And, like, that's bad to even just be in a room with, like, smokers, you know, secondhand smoke and all that. So, like, there was times where we, like, wouldn't go into restaurants if they didn't have if they had a smoking section. And now it's like, well, it's gone now. You can't do that at all. Which is, I think, for the best. Go outside to kill yourself.
こちらへどうぞ。ご注文がお決まりになりましたらお呼びください。
We were led by a particularly dressed waitress to our table, peculiarly, rather. I sat with Ooishi-san in the booth.
どうです
What?
このお店のウェイトレスさんの格好。
Oh,
可
you're...
愛らしいと思います。
Oh, you're absolutely a problem. Also, we're probably at Dennys.
まあそのどうでしょうね。
There's something about the 2 question marks for the... I guess, right? That's really funny. He's like, sure?
このお店ね、いっつも大人気なんですよ。お料理よりも。
Oh,
ウェイトレスさんがね。
you're a problem.
ああ、大石さん。目が
Yeah,
やらしいですよ。
You're probably married.
そうですか
This dude sucks. That's it? Just a slow fade? Okay. Oh my god, look at this. Look at this real menu. I wish I could read the prices. I'd be so curious. Regardless of how the waitresses looked, the food was decent enough. Finishing our meals, we're talking about some inane topic. Ooishi-san's after-meal cup of coffee arrived at the table.
昨日、ひなみ沢の
This
昔
is
話を
absolutely a
見ましたよ
Dennys.
ね。
ええ。人食い鬼の里だって言われてたって話でしたっけ？
私もあんまり詳しい方じゃないので、うちのおばあ様に今朝ちょっと聞いてみたんです。
It's always, you know, it always hits you. Like when an adult says, "I asked my mother," you're like, "Oh. Huh." Right? It kind of reminds you that they were young once. Ooishi-san took out the notepad that was stuffed into his breast pocket.
何でもですね、大昔はひなみ沢は
Onikakushi.
鬼ヶ淵って呼ばれてたんだそうです。
鬼ヶ淵。すごい名前ですね。
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy name. And one that for some reason my brain is saying I've read somewhere before. But I don't know where.
今でもその名前残ってるんですよ。神主の妻が受水自殺した沼
Oh,
の
right.
今でも鬼ヶ淵。
I was like, I heard this somewhere.
沼の底の底は鬼たちの住む国とつながってると言われてたんだそうです。
Damn. Connects straight to Florida. Of course, nobody had told me anything about such an ominous Florida-connected swamp.
でですね、鬼ヶ淵は恐れられていたと同時に崇められてもいたんだそうです。
A respect born of fear. I guess you could say it was a kind of deification. A village of inhuman creatures.
鬼たちはある種の仙人でもあったらしいんですよ。
I don't think I've ever heard that.
例えば、不治の病にかかった村人を鬼ヶ淵に運んで治してもらったりとかしたんだそうです。
Even if we were calling them demons, Tengu, long-nosed goblins. Okay, wait, this is confusing. Even if we were calling them demons, Tengu, translation, long-nosed goblins, or senins would be a more apt description. Okay, so legitimate question. Do we need to describe Tengu as long-nosed goblins? I feel like the average person playing Higurashi on their PC, they will know what a Tengu is. I feel like out of everything in Japan that's like kind of broken out of like Kappa, Tengu, we know those because they're in so much media. Mind you, like this is a slightly older translation, but I feel like calling them long-nosed goblins is extremely incorrect. There's many other things I would say.
鬼って言ってもそんなに悪い人たちじゃないみたい
Even
ですね。
you know what? Even translating Oni as demon is something that I would disagree with. I say those are two very different things, right? I would keep Oni as Oni, another term that I feel has broken out enough to be known in English. At least that's where I stand. But then again, I'm not the one who translates these games, and if I did, people would send me death threats every day.
でもそこはやっぱり人食い鬼らしいんです。ばあ様に聞いた昔話ではですね、息子を治療してもらった代償として、連れてきた母親を食わせろと、こうなるらしいんですよ。
息子を治療してもらった対価が自分ですか？
Some mothers would say that's a worthy price.
それは怖いな。
もちろん、母親は息子を連れて逃げます。
She shoplifted.
これをですね、鬼ヶ淵に住む村人、鬼たちがですね、全員で追いかけて取り囲んで捕まえたんだそうです。
The entire village, apparently. That's quite a frightening thing to imagine.
結局、母親も息子も捕まって食べられちゃったんだそうです。おしまい。
Okay, well, that's your story, huh, buddy? Okay.
その話矛盾がありますよ。当事者の2人が食べられちゃったんですから。
Oh, yeah, right, huh?
その話が残るはずがありません。
Did the villagers keep it up?
昔話はこういうの多いですよね。
That's a very fair, like, yeah. In contrast to the ghastly tale, Ooishi-san laughed heartily while sipping his coffee.
でもですね、他の昔話にも結構あるらしいんですよ。鬼ヶ淵の鬼たちが総出で獲物を捕まえに来るというのは。
I recall that Mion said all the villagers united and fought against the dam construction. I saw similarities with how that part about unification overlapped.
鬼たちの獲物は常に一人で、しかも前もって決められているらしいんです。
え？
That caught my attention. Ooishi-san also appeared to be pondering what it meant.
ばあ様が言うにはですね、鬼の狩りの時には絶対に邪魔をしてはいけない。家に閉じこもって布団をかぶってろって言うんです。
つまりどういうことですか？
獲物の人を助けたり、かくまったりしてはいけないんだそうです。鬼の狩りを邪魔しない限り、村人には危害を加えない。そういうルールなんだそうです。
Basically, don't help the victims. Pretend you didn't see the atrocities. In other
ル
words,
ールを破ったらどうなるんです？
is that why they don't talk about what happened?
さあ、何しろ人食い鬼ですからね。
Many parts of that tale caught my attention. Parts of the story he told me overlapped with his theory that the entire village was in on this crime. Even if it wasn't the whole village, it was conceivable that villagers were hiding under the covers and leaving them to die when there's a group that was on their hunt. Wasn't it? I didn't dare speak
じ
it.
ゃあ大石さんはやっぱり村ぐるみもしくは村人数人の犯行だと見てるんですね。
前原さんはどう思います？ああ、すみません。コーヒーのおかわりいいですか？
That's what I wanted to know. It seemed that we were both waiting for the other to say the last part. He waited for the waitress to finish pouring coffee before
去
speaking.
年、サトシ君が失踪した頃から私は不審に感じていたんです。
Ooishi-san muttered as he watched the milk swirl around in his coffee.
それで、サトシさんのお友達、つまり前原さんのお友達グループの皆さんを ぴりだけ。本当にちょっぴりだけですよ。調べさせてもらったんです。
See, on the one hand, I'm kind of like, dang, you really went for my friends. But on the other, it's like, well, if they're innocent, a little background check shouldn't do anything, except for the fact that Mion is doing stuff she shouldn't do with her job, probably, and she did get in legal trouble before. If Ooishi-san had said this to me before, well, I would have gotten really angry at him for calling my friends into question. But as I was now, I
と
couldn't.
てもつまらない話になります。前原さんがつまらないと感じたらいつでもおっしゃってください。終わりにしますので。
Ooishi-san was wearing the most serious expression I'd ever seen from him. It was as if he was telling me to prepare myself and listen. There were quite a few things I regretted hearing from Ooishi-san, but none of them were as threatening as this. A little voice inside me was screaming like an alarm. Stop, Keiichi. This was probably the last one. I took a deep breath and silenced that voice. I would not run from the truth.
お願いします。
That was all I could utter. Ooishi-san stared into my eyes silently for a few moments. After he was certain I was ready, he began.
1年目の事件の被害者は現場の監督さんだったんですが、事件の数週間前に園崎美音さんと取っ組み合いをしてるんですよ。
Oh boy. Well, we know her whole family's in on that apparently. Oh, Mo, now, but that's... You said unaltercation. That's different from multiple. Ooishi-san had said before that Mion had defied the dam project vehemently. Well, it wasn't hard to imagine how she'd be if she got worked
2
up.
年目の事件で誘致派の夫婦が事故に遭いま
Oh
した、ね。
god, yes?
現場にはお嬢さんも一緒にいたんです。
Yes?
それが
Oh
北条聡
no.
子さんなんです。
Wait. So where is she?
サトコって
Yeah,
サトコ
wait, where's she then? Ooishi-san's look had told me that my voice was too loud. I realized it as well and quickly quieted down.
3年目には神主夫婦が
Okay,
亡くな
this
ら
one
れ
we
ます
figured out on our own.
そのお嬢さんが
Yeah.
古出里香さんです。
リカちゃんが
4年目に亡くなった主婦はもうわかりますね。北条聡子さんの義理のおばです。
Wow. Wow, everyone dies around
当
Satoko.
時は聡子さんはご両親を事故で
Oh
失
my
っていまし
god,
たの
then
で
they got lost
預けら
too.
れていたのです。
Okay, so where is she now?
被害者宅に
I could tell my lips were getting dry. I didn't even have the wits to keep my mouth from hanging agape. I thought it was nothing but a bizarre incident, one that I could easily distance myself from. But clicking and clacking, it had all snuck its way onto my
ちな
feet.
みに4年目に失踪した北条聡さんは聡子さんの
Oh,
実の兄になります。
oh.
その
Yeah, wait, what?
ちょっと待ってください。
It took everything I had to finally say that. I gulped down a glass of water and once again wiped my face with a napkin. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. But Ooishi-san was relentless. Instead of waiting for me to finish sorting out my feelings, he started to speak again. The last of the things I shouldn't have heard.
被害者たちはなぜかあなたのお友達グループに
Oh
全てつなが
God
るのです。
偶然に決まってるじゃないですか。
前原さん、静かに。みんな見てますよ。
Mion? Satoko? Rika-chan? So what if they're connected? You're telling me all of my friends... Well, it couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Oh, Rena's different, isn't she? Rena isn't connected with the victims at all.
竜宮レナさんは去年まで茨城の郊外にお住まいでした。
Okay.
まあ確かにいずれの被害者とも直接の面識はありませんが。
He said it in a roundabout way. Is he saying she's also connected?
実は調べてみたら竜宮さんは引っ越しの少し前に
Oh,
学校で謹慎処分を受けているんですよ。
did she actually kidnap a child she thought was cute?
なんでも学校中のガラスを割って回ったんだとか。
Huh.
レナが
Okay.
学校中のガラスを割った？
But why would she do that? That same Spacey, Rena had... I couldn't even imagine
3
it.
日間の謹慎が明けた後も復学しなかったようです。その間に神経科に通院し、
What?
自律神経失調症と診断
Dysautonomia.
され、何週間かの間、投薬と医師によるカウンセリングを受けています。
Okay. So wait, dysautonomia, dysfunction, automaticnomia. But what is, you know what? I'm not gonna look it up because there's a chance I do, and it's like dysautonomia is a fictional disease. It's actually this from Higurashi, and I don't want that. So I'm not. You know what? Explain it, please. I wonder if it was something like a nervous breakdown. I'd heard that it happens to people who are really methodical or overly sensitive. Neither of those matched Rena's easygoing personality.
でですね、そのカウンセリングをした医師のカルテにレナさんの会話内容が記載されているんですがね、
Uh-huh.
その中に出てくるんですよ。
What?
結構。
何がです？
Yeah, what? I pressed forward carelessly. There couldn't be anything more for me to regret.
出てくるんですよ。親代様って。
Oh boy. Wait, but what the frick? She wasn't even in the place. She was in Ibaraki, which isn't here, right? It felt like someone's stone-cold hand was caressing my back. Why had Rena spoke of Oyashiro-sama before she even came to Hinamizawa?
親代様っていう幽霊みたいなものがですね、夜
What
な
the
夜な
frick?
自宅にやってくるっていうんですよ。
Oh, okay.
枕元に立って自分を見下ろすんだって。
Whoa. My mind froze. I couldn't process what I was being
そ
told.
の後、しばらくして南
Well,
沢に
you
引
know,
っ越されたんです。
That's the best solution. If someone's having like a psychotic breakdown about something, you bring them to where that thing is in real life. Obviously, that's what you do. If you say, if you're afraid of clowns, you move next to a circus. It's obvious, right?
ああ、そうそう。レナさんはよそ者なんかじゃないですよ。
え？
住民票で分かったんですが、
Oh,
竜宮一家は元は南沢の住人です。
huh.
レナさんがちょうど小学校に上がるときに茨城へ引っ越されたんです。
Huh. My mind went completely blank. It was similar to the static you'd see on a blank TV channel. My ears began ringing as I lost all sense of
前
comprehension.
原さん、大丈夫ですか？
You just kind of shattered my whole world one step at a time, so, you know.
もう終わりにしましょう
That's
か。
probably a good idea. Those words brought me back. I couldn't let it end
レ
here.
ナのことは分かりました。じゃあその最後の被害者の富武さんはどうなんですか？誰と接点があるんですか？
Irritated, I let out one final reprisal.
全員ですよ。
What the frick?
お忘れですか、前原さん。
Oh my god, wait, are you talking about the writing?
みんなで楽しく
Yeah,
夏
okay,
の晩
right.
を
No,
過
you're
ごしたじゃない
no,
ですか。
oh my god, it literally is all of us.
何人もの警官が皆
Oh
さんの
boy.
楽しそうな様子を見ています。
Oh boy. Now there was nothing I could respond with. I fell silent as my brain turned to mush.
そろそろ出ましょう。
Yeah, I don't think my grand slam or whatever they have at Denny's is gonna go down pretty easy tonight.
ああ、前原さん。お昼の薬は飲みましたか？
I completely forgot about the medicine I'd gotten today until Ooishi-san said that. I got another glass of water and we left the shop after I chugged it down. We got in the car and returned to Hinamizawa via the rough road. I never really paid attention while I was on my bike, but did cars normally shake this much? It's almost as if the road was desperately trying to tell me something. Badump? That big jolt was from the difference in elevation of the road when it changed from cement to dirt. I was certain that I heard Tomitake-san scream. I sat in silence, just letting myself be shaken by the
お
car.
家の前まで送りましょう。今日は病気でお休みだったんですよね。
You know, I don't think that's a good idea. What if the parents see this, you know? It wouldn't be a good look.
長々とお話ししてしまって申し訳あり
You
ません
can't
で
really
し
just
た
be like, oh yeah, a police officer was passing by and he decided to drop me out. You can't do that.
なんで俺に話すんですか？
I blurted out my question. Really just blurted it out. I didn't expect an answer.
私、 一応確認しましたよね。お話やめましょうか。
じゃなくて、どうして俺に接触してきたんですか？
I understood quite well that Ooishi-san was investigating this string of suspicious incidents. But why was he telling me all this? I knew nothing and I couldn't help. Everything Ooishi-san spoke of was news to me. First of all, what could I, having just moved here, possibly know? By chance, if there was a reason for Ooishi-san to reach out to me, then it would have to be that I was part of Mion's circle of friends who looked suspicious to
私
Ooishi-san.
ね、今年で定年なんです。
Buddy, you do know that's like the biggest death flag ever to say,
定
right?
年したらばあ様の意向で引っ越しちゃう予定なんですよ。
Buddy, you know that this is like horrible to say.
だからこそ在職中にこの事件だけ
This is
はは
like-
っきりさせておきたかったんです。
This is the number one way to get killed.
で、大石さんは疑ってるんですよね。
It's an insane thing to say out
みんな
loud
を
in a mystery murder visual novel. Ooishi-san didn't really give a response. Felt a little late, but I thought it was his way of showing a bit of consideration for my feelings.
これはこの道30年の勘です。前原さん、危ないのはあなたなんですよ。
I wanted to reply with, "That's absurd," but in my downtrodden state, I couldn't bring myself to say it.
私は今年で定年ですから来年の綿流しの日にはもういません。だから今年中に決着をつけたいのです。
In other words, he was insinuating that on the next Watanagashi, I might be the victim.
所長からも注意を受けています。一連の事件は個々に解決しているから蒸し返すなというんです。これは一種の圧力です。
圧力って何のですか？
ひなみ沢の誰かですよ。着きました。この辺でいいですか？
Someone? Someone? Who? After some time, the car finally reached the path to my house. The clock read 2 p.m. I was surprised so little time had passed since we ate. It was hot outside the car. The chirping of the Higurashi hurt my ears. The Higurashi are pissing me off.
今日の話はすべて忘れてくださっても結構です。
It'll be kind of hard to do that, buddy, but okay.
ですが、私は捜査を続けますよ。お社様のたたりは今年で終わらせます。
何かあったら連絡しろってことですか？
いいんですよ。前原さんがどうしても連絡したくなった時だけでいいんです。
I wasn't collected enough to understand Ooishi-san's roundabout way of saying
ゆ
it.
っくり休んでください。病気でお休みの時によくない話ばかりして申し訳ありませんでしたね。
You know, it's a lot. I didn't really give any sort of response.
私はいつでもあなたの味方です。それだけは信じといてくださいよ。それじゃあ、失礼。
The tires crunched over the dirt road as the car made a U-turn and disappeared into a cloud of kicked-up dust. It felt like I was watching a boat only throw me a lifesaver in shark-infested waters before disappearing into the distance. That was the first time I thought Ooishi-san was being unfair. Telling me I was going to be the next victim, then saying to contact him if something happened. This wasn't a criminal investigation. He was fishing, and I was just the bait, dangling off the line. Would the fish be the perpetrator? That's a very funny line out of context. Or was it really just Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, the bait would be swallowed whole.
畜生、俺死にたくないよ。
For some time, I could do nothing but stare at the puddle of water left by the AC from the car. Dang, that's, Huh. Are we doing chapter end, or are we doing... Let's see. No, it's continuing. That's what I thought. I was like, it's too soon. These are like an hour long usually. Wonder how much time had passed since I laid down. It was getting dark outside. My body was soaked in sweat. It would probably be a good idea to change my sheets. That scared me. I'm home alone, and that made me think that the phone was going off, but we don't have a home phone. At that time, the phone downstairs rang. It was probably Mom. Mom was quite the worrywart. Maybe she called many times, but I just didn't notice it.
もしもし、前原ですけど。
お、生きてた。もしもーし、
Oh boy.
ミオンだけど、具合はどう？
圭一のお友達ですか？圭一は休んでますけど、変わりましょうか？
お父様で？
Oh wait, that's a funny gag.
すみません。
That's a funny gag.
バカで引っかかってやがるよ。
See, but that doesn't work for me because like I'll answer the phone and everyone will be like, you know, they'll be like, Steve, like that's not me. They're like, oh, you sound the same, and I'm like, I don't think we do.
ケイちゃん？
After our exchange, we both had a good laugh together. Except I was suspicious of her, even as we were laughing. Was everybody really involved in the incidents? The fact that I couldn't say no saddened me.
元気そうで安心したよ。レナもすっごく心配してたよ。
Oh, what's she now?
さとこはざまあないですわって喜んでたな。リカちゃんは病気でかわいそうですってさ。
チェ、みんなで勝手に大盛り上がりしてたみたいだな。
まあまあ。でさ、ケイちゃん、お見舞いに行っちゃ都合悪いかな。
Oh.
お見舞い？いいよそんな。重病人ってわけじゃないんだから。
Buddy. Why?
うちのバッチャが山ほどおはぎを作ってさ。
It's not worth it for
お
Mochi,
裾分
dude.
けに持ってけって言ってんだよ。だから持ってくね。
おいおい、風が移っても知らねえぞ。
おじさんもレナもおバカさんだから大丈夫。
Okay, this must be a Japanese thing because I've heard this phrase before.
じゃあね、すぐ行くから。
I've heard it before. She hung up cheerfully. Rena's coming too. That's what it sounded like. I was still concerned about meeting Rena, but I guess if she was with Mion... Why do I feel like we're going to be clocked in the head? I heard the doorbell 10 minutes later.
どんな感じ？ちゃんと薬飲んで寝てた？
You know, maybe leave the... hey, I know it's land of the free and all that, but can you leave the gun at the door? By land of the free, I mean it's not. It's actually the opposite.
そりゃもうしっかりとな。
元気そうでよかった。心配してたんだよ。
悪かったな。明日にはもう大丈夫だよ。
Mion showed a complete lack of concern for someone who's recovering, and Rena looked like she was worried about me from the bottom of her heart. It didn't look like there was anything behind those expressions. Now, that could have two meanings. That could mean there was no hidden meaning, or it could also be no thoughts, head empty, right? Both of which kind of work for her.
ちょっとお邪魔しようかと思ったけど、まだ本調子じゃないみたいだね。
そうか？
It seemed my face appeared a bit sullen.
じゃあこれ、ケイチくん、みーちゃんのおばあちゃんが作ってくれたおはぎだよ。
Rena held out a package wrapped in newspaper. There might be about 5 in here. It's quite hefty.
な、サンキューな。ミオンのばあちゃんによろしく伝えといてくれよ。
その中にね、レナが作ったのも混じってるんだよ。
I don't know if I like my brain's just like, don't trust it. Don't trust it. It's filled with cyanide.
ケイチくんに見つけられるかな。これ、今日の部活を欠席したケイちゃんへの宿題ね。おはぎにアルファベットがついてるから、明日回答すること。
お見舞いなのか部活なのか、どっちかにしろ。
It's a terrifying, literally Russian roulette.
元気。これなら
Russian
明日は
roulette
大丈夫
mochi.
そうだね。
この騒ぎで熱がぶり返したらどうしてくれんだよ、まったく。
みーちゃん、あんまり騒いじゃ悪いよ。もう行こう。お家の人にも怒られるよ。
Both of them thought my parents were home. It was because the entranceway was a
そう
mess.
だね。もう行こっかね。あ、そうそう、ケイちゃん。
なんだよ。
お昼、何食べた？
Okay, what's with the eyes? What's with the eyes? The sudden question startled me, and I went wide-eyed when I saw Mion. I had never seen her like that. It was a highly unsettling visage. But why is she asking me what I ate for lunch? What she said was so inane, it was almost meaningless. The way she said it, it was almost like she didn't even care at all about what I ate.
表で食べたよ。
She must have suspected that I was with Ooishi-san. Anyway, I felt that if I hesitated or tried to change the subject, then they'd read too deep into it. So I tried answering as quickly as possible. Except, contrary to the efforts I had made, there was a pause before they replied.
ケイチ君、お昼は外食だったんだね。
This is terrifying. The glimmer from Rena's eyes had changed at some point as well. It was now sharp, as if to make me feel the feigned ignorance behind her words even more. As if she already knew. That's how it looked to me.
どう？美味しかった？
なんでそんなことを聞くんだよ。
Mion was speaking in an unusually low tone, almost as if she knew I had eaten at the restaurant in town. No, I'm overthinking this. I mean, both of them should have been at school at lunchtime. There was no way they could have known where I was.
渋いおじさまとご一緒だったみたいだけど。誰？
Oh boy. Flop. The package with the mochi I was holding slipped out of my hands. I could tell the blood had drained from my face, making me go pale.
へえ。
Oh no, we're doubling down.
ケイチ君、それ誰？ひょっとして、この間の人かな？かな？
Oh, she's still doing the doublespeak though. Which is, I think, an important thing. To show this is still her. I could feel the back of my throat going dry. This was no longer a bluff. They knew everything.
なんでそんなことわかるんだよ。
It took everything I had to finally force those words from my throat. My knees were shaking.
さーてね、おじさんにわからないことはないからね。
Oh. Mion sneered knowingly, and her laugh seemed to carry on forever.
で、ケイちゃん、何のお話をしてたの？ずいぶんと熱くなってたみたいだけど。
Sorry for the cut.
みんなの話はしてないよ。
Oh. Are we gonna be hit with another lie?
ミオンともレナとも関係ない。
ふん。
Oh no.
聞いてもないのにレナたちの名前が出るなんて、なんだか怪しいな。
Oh god. Rena's unwavering gaze pierced through my eyes, and peered further inside me. I dug my own grave. My heart was throbbing so much it felt like it was about to explode.
何を隠れてやろうとも、おじさんにはすべてお見通しってこと。それだけを忘れないでくれればいいかな。
I couldn't even shake my head. It took everything I had to stop my teeth from chattering. She never let her gaze break from mine, even as she tilted her head slightly.
ケイチ君、顔色悪いよ。
Yeah, it's a cold.
もう横になった方がいいと思うな。そうだね。私たちはもう帰ろう。
As if nothing had happened, they both giggled at each other and started making their way out. I hadn't moved a muscle since I had dropped the package of mochi. As they left, the door slowly closed behind them. All I could do was stare, as if I couldn't move until the door was completely closed. Just as the door was just about closed, it opened again with a sudden creak, setting my heart racing once more. A single eye peered in through that narrow slit, and Mion's hawkish gaze peered at me once again.
じゃあね、ケイちゃん。
あ、
明日、学校休んじゃ嫌だよ。
Oh boy. Thud. The door closed. I wasn't able to move a muscle, even after the low laughter died off into the distance and silence once again enveloped the room. Coming back to my senses, the first thing I did was lock the door. They knew what Ooishi-san and I talked about. Why? How? No, that wasn't important. Thinking about it now, all of it could have been overheard from the beginning when Ooishi-san met me. Just as Mion said, I couldn't hide anything. And what were they trying to tell me? That part was obvious. They were warning me not to say anything unnecessary. What did they deem unnecessary? I only talked with Ooishi-san about one thing, and they were warning me that that was unnecessary. What was it that Ooishi-san talked to me about? The incidents involving Oyashiro-sama's curse that occurred every year weren't individual cases, but were connected as a whole, as well as the fact there had been multiple perpetrators hidden within Hinamizawa. No, more precisely, that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious. Is that what they were warning me against?
何バカなこと考えてんだよ俺
I hit my own face hard enough that it let out a loud slap. If only that would wake me from this nightmare. But for some reason it felt as though I was punching a blanket. Almost laughably painless. Calm down, Kaiichi Maibara. When did I become such a pessimist? Calm down. Calm down. Settle down and sort things out. The reason Mion knew I was eating lunch with Ooishi-san was probably because somebody from Hinamizawa just happened to be there at the time. They must have told Mion that I was there. That made the most sense. Plus, come to think of it, she didn't ask me where I ate lunch, did she? She only asked, was it good? They were just curious since I was together with someone not from Hinamizawa. It's not as if they had any ulterior motives. That's it. That has to be it. Thinking about it that way, it was the same with Rena. I was just being strangely ambiguous about when I met with Ooishi-san, and Rena was just correcting me on that. That's when I was bewildered by the change in character from the usual mild-mannered Rena and was just startled by it. That's the most natural way of thinking about it. It felt like my mind was mixed up like a tangled mess of spaghetti. Deep red. I don't know about... Man, you know, this isn't... Did you grab this from Nasu? I hate when they bring up, like, pasta metaphors for this. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it sucks. Anyways, deep red marinara sauce would have poured out of my nose and ears if you squeezed my head. Thinking that, I suddenly felt like vomiting, which is fair. That's a horrible thing to imagine. I really didn't want that to happen, so I stopped holding my head. Lately, I had no idea what anyone was saying. Spending time with them was fun. It didn't feel like there was any sort of hidden agenda. I really do think they're a good bunch of people. When I just moved here and couldn't make heads or tails of everything, they were really kind to me. Rena was really kind and always looked after me. As long as that strange affliction didn't rear its ugly head, she was really pretty cute. Mion is also a really good person. She didn't care about anyone's age or gender and was optimistic and outgoing. I was never bored when I was with her. And talking to not getting bored, well, rambunctious Satoko was a good person for that too. She was pretty bratty, but that was just the way she interacted with others. Rika-chan was the same way. She didn't speak often, but that doesn't mean she was always silent. They're my friends. But after hearing the better untold secrets of Hinamizawa, from Ooishi-san and Tomitake-san, when I was told about Oyashiro-sama's curse, things started going crazy. Then hearing from Ooishi-san that Mion, Rena, Satoko, and Rika-chan were all suspicious, after that, everything changed. That's right. It all started going weird after Ooishi-san told me all that strange stuff. At the time, I really should have just not listened to those weird stories. I shouldn't have ever asked Tomitake-san about the past incidents on the night of the Watanagashi. If I had just gotten that strange sense of curiosity. If I hadn't. That's right. So that's why they blanked Tomitake-san. Are you avoiding that word for a reason? It's okay, we're not on TikTok, dude. We don't have to say unalived here. That impudent outsider speaking to the likes of me after everybody went out of their way to keep it a secret from me. They'll probably blank Ooishi-san too. For trying to unearth what everyone was warning me was better left buried. Besides that, He was unforgivable for spewing words that made me doubt the others. Of course a guy like that is going to be blanked. Both Tomitake-san and Ooishi-san were nothing but outsiders after all. They were entities who couldn't coexist with the people of Hinamizawa. Those guys should just fall to Oyashiro-sama's curse and just blank. So, I've had a thought. I've had a thought this whole time. Is there a chance that we are the ones doing all this? I wonder. Because that breakdown wasn't very normal, buddy. That wasn't normal. And I've been thinking that. And I've been thinking, is there any evidence of that so far? Huh. Something to consider. It's a theory, right? It's a game theory I'm keeping in my back pocket. I could be completely wrong. And so here's the thing. On the one hand, I'd be like, well, that's such a trope that, like, is so obvious. But on the other hand, is it only obvious because a famous game like this used that plot? It makes you think. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault for not being able to hold back my curiosity, and then that might be why Ooishi-san is specifically coming to us. It's not that he wants to get close to us because of the group. He wants to get close to us because it's us. That's an idea. Keep it in our back pocket. Don't tell me whether it's correct or not. I don't care. Or rather, I just don't want to be spoiled. It wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. Oh, yeah, no, we're doing the Nasu just going nuts, repeating the words. It wasn't their fault, it wasn't their fault, it wasn't their fault, it wasn't their fault, it wasn't their fault. I settled into a daze. It was a lethargic feeling that I had just gotten up, but that ominous chill that haunted me had subsided. I was fine now. I was no longer frightened. I had completely recovered. I'll go to school tomorrow, right as rain. I'll greet everyone. I'll take part in club activities. It'll definitely be fun. It had to be fun. I was one of them after all.
そうだ。おはぎ食べないと。どれがレナの手作りか当てないといけないんだよな。
I remember the homework the two brought with them when they visited me. But wow, her club did delivery. That was something else. I pick up the package I dropped on the floor and headed into the living room. They're going to spell something. They're going to spell something. They're going to spell something. It'd be nice, I guess, to have some tea with it. To fill my mouth with mochi while drinking tea. Oh. Why, quite the delectable situation I was in. Opening up the newspaper wrapping, there were 5 plump red bean paste mochi fit snugly inside. Not the biggest red bean paste fan. I can deal with it, but I would never pick it. There were letters written from left to right on the newspaper. A, B, C, D, and E. Now then, they said Rena made one of these. I wonder which one. There wasn't much difference in how they looked. They smelled and appeared about the same. This was a pretty difficult problem. The biggest difference was probably their shape. I wasn't sure what kind of person Mion's grandma was, but Rena's had to be different from hers. Looking carefully, I could see that one note mochi was made very neatly. So, well, that, just by staring at it, one could tell that it stood out.
レナのか否かが勝負の分かれ目みたいだな。
Calm down and think even harder. Mion had said her grandma made a ton of them and was told to give them out if I remember correctly. So that meant the 4 of them were from the large batch. Well, then what about Rena? She was probably, only made 1. So she probably spent quite a bit of time on it. Meaning the one Rena made was this one, E. For a moment, I thought it might be a trap Mion laid as she knew I'd pick up on it, but that probably wasn't the case. I wouldn't be so sure if I knew Mion had made it, but since Rena made it, probably wasn't a trap.
よし。お茶も準備 OK。
I'm so scared to put this in my mouth.
まずはディフェンディングチャンピオンのミオンのばあちゃんからだ。どれ？
I'm so scared. Why am I thinking there's gonna be razor blades in it or something? Not bad. Smooth bean paste and soft chewy texture left a little to be desired. Tea I drank afterwards also accentuated the experience. This was an exquisite piece of work. Now, how about Rena's? Creation was so delicate, one would think it was a high-class Japanese dessert. Since I normally had quite the appetite, I was slightly worried about the size of the portion. But, well, first a bite, I'm so scared. Oh, thank God. I was like, is there going to be a razor blades in it? This is quite a difficult one to judge, actually. The ingredients were exactly the same, so there was little difference in flavor. All what's different was how it was shaped at the end, so it was to be expected. So the deciding factors would be presentation and volume. The well-formed and well-sized champion versus Rena the challenger with a size you just couldn't get enough of. I'd only had one bite of Rena's, so I'd probably have to wait until I was done eating to make my decision. Maybe there was something hidden inside that could cause an upset. Oh, God. Seems my prediction was right. My tongue touched something. It didn't feel like something edible, so I reached in with my fingers and grabbed it. What? What was this? Before I could fully comprehend what it was, I threw away the rest of the mochi I was eating as fast as I could. It slammed against the wall, causing the bean jam to splatter. Then after sticking for a moment, it slid down to the floor. I was dumbstruck by my own actions. What was I doing? Ren had gone out of her way to make it for me. How could I? Dumbstruck. I looked down at the hand that had performed such a vile act, and then I remembered what I had taken out of my mouth. At first, I thought it was a hair. Even though it was shorter than Mion's, Rena's hair was still quite long, and it wasn't this short. It was also a bit too hard to be hair. It was thick enough to roll around on my tongue. There was a... I called it. There was a bit of a metallic sheen on one end. Yes, there was a hole for where the thread goes, like it was a sewing needle. Yes, that's right. It looked very much like a sewing needle. Exactly like one. The end was pointed as well, quite sharply. It really did just look like a sewing needle. Huh? What did I mean by looked very much like a sewing needle just a bit ago? I couldn't answer, but a voice inside me already knew, and let me know by chattering my molars together. I couldn't stave off the terror welling up inside me. Suddenly I tasted something metallic and felt a prickling pain at the back of my throat. Oh no. I stuck my finger in the back of my mouth and felt around to see if it was bleeding. Suddenly I felt the urge to vomit. The sharp taste of bile irritated the back of my throat. I clasped both hands over my mouth, and after writhing in agony, I was somehow able to hold back the nausea. I was finally able to breathe normally again, but this time my heart was throbbing intensely. Then it finally registered. Exactly what was mixed in with the mochi. Before I could think of the correct words, my hands were already on the move. Splat, plop, splort, I tossed the rest of the mochi against the wall. The geometrical patterns of the scattered bean jam on the wall suddenly invoked a terrible omen in my mind. After looking away, I dashed out to the hall and flew upstairs to my room where I stayed under my covers until morning. I clutched my own shoulders, howling mad, in a mix of fear, anger, sadness, and frustration. This wasn't a threat, or a warning, or a reminder, nothing as simple as that. What had happened in Hinamizawa? What is happening in Hinamizawa? What would happen? I didn't know the answer to any of those questions. Where did I break a taboo? Regardless, now Mion and Rena and the others, they consider me an enemy, and they thought I should just die. I won't let you kill me, not for such a pointless reason. I fell into a restless sleep as I was crushed by my negative emotions. It was as if I was being drawn into a billowing, bottomless swamp. So, I hate it when I'm right sometimes. I do. I really do. A drug that makes you kill yourself and threat. Oh boy, well, let's see what these are. Oh god. Hard to swallow. Enjoy a homemade snack. Shut up, I hate these achievements, they're so good. Why are they like this? Okay, so what's a drug that makes you commit suicide?
単刀直入に
Are we going
自
just
殺
deeper
させ
now
る
with
薬っ
this?
てないんですか？
直接的にはない。
Oh no, you're talking to someone else.
遠回しですね。
So wait, did you?
では間接
Oh no,
的に
this is
はあるっ
different
て
than the
こ
one
と
that
ですか？
disappears without a trace. That's a different question.
自殺したくなる精神状態を誘発することはできる。ちゅうこと。
難しい言い方になりましたね。何ですかその自殺したくなる精神状態ってのは。
例えば一般的な心理学見地から言えばじゃが、心理面が内向状態から外向状態に転じるときに最も自殺が多いと言われちょる。
Something to consider. Clinical depression and bipolar disorder are different. Clinical depression indicates a long, prolonged state of depression, whereas bipolar disorder is characterized by a passive depressed state accompanied by a very active manic state.
内向状態の時は自信を喪失し非常に悲観的だ。だが自殺もせん。
Oh, that's good news for me.
自殺をする気力すらないからだ。 逆の状態もまた自殺をせん。今度は逆に非常に自信過剰で行動的なので自らを順風満帆と思う。だから自殺などせんのだ。
なるほどね。どっちの状態でも自殺をしないのに、
Okay. That's
状態が
actually
入れ替わるときに自殺す
actually
る
very
んですか？
interesting.
内向状態には自殺願望はあるが自殺という大仕事を遂げる気力すらもない。だが外向状態が始まると徐々に気力が充実し体の自由が利くようになってくる。
なるほど。
That does
つ
make
まり
sense,
自
yeah.
殺する気力が回復するわけですね。
そういうことじゃのう。だからこの時期に変な気を起こさんように処方箋を施すわけじゃな。
では富武氏はこの心理状態だったんですかね？
一般的に自殺はちゃんとした文化的な手法で行われる。道具を使用してな。
Oh, yeah, civilized.
自虐行動とは全く違うぞい。
富武氏の自殺は文化的じゃないですよね。ではやっぱり何かの中毒と考えるのが自然ですか。最初に言った自殺したくなる精神状態を起こす薬ってのを教えてください。
鎮痛薬の一部には心理を内向から外向に過剰転換させる効果があると報告されとる。
It's surprising they're just openly discussing meth in this because, like, I don't know. I'm so used to Nasu with his with him not even understanding how weed works, right? And like I always took that as just like the common like, yep, this is how, you know, Japan, a nation where you cannot have drugs at all. It's like super mega illegal. Like this is what they think of them. This is a very nuanced discussion about it in particular, which I'm just surprised.
それから催眠作用を持つ薬を
Oh,
異常
sleep
摂
aid.
取
I was
した
never
場
I was
合
like I
に
never
も
even heard of that.
異常行動が報告されとるが、
Okay.
あまり一般的ではないの。
Barbiturate.
その2つは検視の報告だと違うみたいですね。他の可能性は？
あとは病気しか考えられん。甲状腺異常を引き起こす病気にしばしばそれに似た症状が
Oh
報
god,
告
they
されと
really
る。
opened up the medical dictionary for this, huh?
それらは概して特徴的な症状が多い。
I fully believe these are all real.
仏は違うの。
もっと突発的に発生するものはありませんかね。今回のケースと合うような突発性で自殺したくなるようなやつです。
他にはそうじゃな。脳障害によって精神に異
I've
常
never
を
heard
発
of
生す
this.
る状態じ
Okay,
ゃな。
now this is where I'm like, okay, I don't know about this one.
これは薬物中毒でも起こるが、脳の外傷や一部の病気なんかでも起こる。
Huh.
つまり薬によらなくても異常な精神状態に陥る可能性があると。
仏は犯人に囲まれて命に危険が迫っとったんじゃろ。極度の緊張が続いて、それに分泌異常が重なって、さらに打ちどころが悪くて脳に障害が起こり自虐行動に走った。
I mean, it's a
可能
possibility,
性
but
も
it
あるかもしれ
feels
んの。
feels like there's no way.
もうちょっと省略して言ってくれませんかね。
つまり乱闘中に豆腐の角に頭ぶつけて、それで異常が発生したと言っとるんだ。
It's a lot simpler.
じゃあ星には殺意はなかったってことですかね。ちょいと小銭を巻き上げようと思ったらたまたま殴りどころが悪かったと。
The two plump men laughed
な
hoarsely.
んてわけはありませんね。
いかにも薬物の常用にせよ精神的なものにせよ仏の身元が鍵を握っとるぞい。そっちはどうなっとるんじゃ。
あら、こんな時間。そろそろ戻らないとクマちゃん怒っちゃいますね。
Kuma-chan? Who's that?
おお、頑張れよ。
The bear?
いいお年をの。
いいお
What's
年
the
を。
bear? Is that what he named his dog or something? Threat. What's this? Will we learn what Kuma-chan is? Maybe it's the higher up, you know?
今の
What?
皆さんは確か。
Okay. I thought that the first word he said was short for a kind of outdated. Well, I mean, it is a scientific term. But I'm like, you can't say that, buddy. I know you're old grandpa, but you can't say that.
議員バッジが2人いたっすね。
Oh, God, we got the national diet involved.
じゃあ県議と市議の園崎だ。
Prefectural Assembly member Sonozaki and... Oh. So there's Sonozakis in the assembly and the counselor?
面白いっすね。親戚同士で県議と市議やってんすか。
Huh.
これがずるいんですよ。お互いの名前で慈善運動バンバン。片方の選挙中にはもう片方が別に講演会を開いて二重に選挙運動
That
やってん
doesn't
ですよ。
seem like it should be allowed.
堂々と。
よくわかんないんすけど、それって公選法違反じゃないんすか？
慈善運動にならない限り政治活動は無制限ですからね。クマちゃん、
Okay.
そんなんじゃ選対本部好きになった時
That's who he's
大変
talking
ですよ。
to.
公選法くらいは勉強してください。
俺、知能犯化は無理っす。バカですから。
There was a prefectural assembly member, Sonozaki, and city councilor, Sonozaki. Also, the mayor of Hinamizawa. Oh, great! So they're all influenced by the Sonozaki family. What
お
crap.
見送りしてんのは副所長とうちの課長っすね。
It came to me. That night, when the department chief invited me along to get some Odin, I thought that was it.
大石さんは友達多いから聞いてるかもしれないけど、聞いてるかな。
いえ、何も。
お母さん、ガモにはんぺん頼みます。所長んとこに議員の怒鳴り込みがあったんだよ。
あれま、そうなんですか。あ、お母さん、私にもう一杯ください。
Prefectural Assembly member Sonozaki and City Councilor Sonozaki were both intimidating. Our snot-nosed career police chief couldn't handle being yelled at by them. They're like
稲
Yakuza.
見沢事件の捜査の仕方で君を指名して陳情してきたよ。
ありゃ、私はてはて。
とぼけるなよ。例の稲見沢の過去の事件。蒸し返してるだろ。
私、富武殺しで手一杯でそんな余裕ないですよ。ね。
本当に？本当にそうならいいんだけどさ。
There was a period of silence. While we were silent, we made headway on our food and drink.
いやー、ごちそうになっちゃいました。今月は負けっぱなしだったんで財布つらかったんですよ。助かりました。
いや、いいよ。また馬教えてよ。
What? Is that a phrase? I've never heard that
大
before.
石さんと同じ馬を買うから。
Oh, no, you literally mean, oh, I thought, like, tell me a good horse again. I thought it's like a phrase, like, you know, horse means story or something. No, literally, give me a good horse and I'll bet on it. Listen, there's one called Super Creek.
最近はダメです。馬の声がさっぱりですから。タクシー
I'm going by train. Department chief is taking a taxi. I have my own car, but I'd be rash to drive it home. Can't blow it right before retirement with a DUI. Hey! The fact that you considered it at all is not great. Even though he could still rattle off, it looked like his legs were already jelly. Pushing him into the cab, I gave the driver the department chief's address.
ではではまた明日。
大石さん、
はいはい。
過去の事件は全部個別に終わってる。盾に並べるのはやめるんだよ。村の連中は半ば本気でタタリを信じてるんだから。
私だってタタリなんか信じちゃいませんよ。
大石さんは来年で退職じゃないですか。退職金でローン返してお母さんと北海道に引っ越すんじゃなかったっけ？
ばあ様がどうしても生まれの北海道に帰りたいって泣くんですよ。最後のご奉公なんです。退職金はまあすすきので楽しむことにしますな。
所長は退職時特別昇給を見直すかもってさ。
A public servant's severance payment is calculated based on their monthly salary when they retire, so a special promotion of 2 pay grades is given before retirement. This tops up the employee's severance payment. This tends to be how it's done around here. Of course, it's not exactly a commendable custom. Incidentally, the difference that 2 pay grades makes to the payout is quite significant.
さすがインテリの若所長は言い出すことが模範的です。でもまあ私たちの給料が血税で支払われてることを思えばまあ時代の流れですかね。
It certainly wasn't a laughing matter, but I'll laugh through it anyway.
僕も模範的なこととは思わないよ。でもまあ大石さんはそれだけの退職金をもらってもおかしくない活躍をしてきたからさ。僕としてはぜひもらってほしいんだよ。
もらえるもんならそりゃ欲しいですけどね。
もらえるよ。大石さんが大人なら。
運転手さん、引き止めてすみませんね。お願いします。
I closed the door roughly, interrupting the department chief's conversation a bit rudely. It looked like he still had something to say, but he just smiled wryly and waved. I waved in return. The cab sped up gradually and soon disappeared among the sea of lights.
参ったな。ローン返済できるかな。
What loan? Loan for what? I feel like that's important information. Well, alright guys, we're moving on next time to Chapter 10. So see you then for some more Let's Play Higurashi. Ciao guys.
Yo.